You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, Doge, and more. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity, provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments throughout the world's leading crypto derivatives markets. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of crypto derivatives. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody. That music means it is Monday. It is time once again to roll out the Crypto Rundown, the program here on the old Options Insider Radio Network, where we break down everything going on in the world of crypto derivatives. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com. Did you miss us last week? Yeah, we were off for the July 4th holiday here in the U.S. I know a lot of our crypto listeners are international, so you're probably like, well, I don't care. But, you know, I'm not a monster. I'm not going to make people come in during a holiday week. I was, of course, traveling out in the Western studio out there last week as well. So I had a fun time. Pretty exhausting walking all of the breadth of LA back and forth and through the theme parks and stuff. But it was a fun time. But now we're back and raring and ready to go, talking a little bit of crypto. Of course, you want to talk even more, head on over to theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Lots of goodies waiting there for us. And I do believe waiting for us on the old crypto hot seat this week, I do believe we have our old pal, Mr. Bill Ulivieri from Cenacle Capital Management, joining us via the magic of telephone this week. Mr. Bill, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am here. We're doing things old school.
Old school. Next will be tin can and a string, sir.
Right?
How are things in Cenacle land since last we chatted, sir?
You know, things are going pretty good, Mark. I mean, actually, we're, the returns have been attractive. Our conversations with, clients looking to get a little bit of exposure to crypto and Bitcoin has been easier to have now that, it's become more mainstream. And, we're kind of prepping for some potential volatility coming up in the second half of the year. So we are slowly moving to a risk-off posture, and I feel good about it.
All right, listeners, and we feel good with the start of the show because it is time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trending activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, listeners, time for the Bitcoin Breakdown, where we break down all the action in the world's leading digital asset. Yup, it's Bitcoin. And Bill, What happened? I go away for a week and you broke the crypto market in my absence, sir.
Oh, I'm really sorry about that. But let me just say this about that. Our last episode, you and I had a conversation, and I had to give one of those full disclosures where our trading signal favored gold over Bitcoin. And it's been working out so far. I think we had some FOMO into the halving that happened. And, I think we're seeing some of the weekends begin to bail out of crypto for a short time, at least for the time being, as I think, again, things are moving a little bit more risk off in the marketplace, at least from our perspective. And I'm sorry I broke it. It's just a temporary wobble. It's not really broken. It's just shifting gears. How's that? We're just taking a little lull between third and fourth gear.
Mr. Bill, I left explicit instructions while I was gone to hodl while I was gone, and you just hit all the bids while I was gone, sir. So I blame you.
I'm so sorry.
You broke a Bitcoin while I was gone. Yeah, we're a little bit lighter this week than we were on our last show now 2 weeks ago, listeners. Last show, we were just threatening to break the 60K level in the wrong direction. In fact, I think we had done that earlier in the day and then rallied above it right at the start of the show because we were at 60,258 on our last show 2 weeks ago. Coming into the start of the show today, a little bit lower, almost 6,000 handles lower out there, listeners, because, yeah, we are looking lower. 54,317, that puts us down a whopping 5,941 handles since our last show. That's pretty much hanging out right around the low for the last couple of weeks. The high was almost 63,000, 62,926 came pretty much what would have been during our last show day last Monday out there. So been an interesting range out there, but yeah, for all you hodlers out there, not the best couple of weeks. Of course, I'm joking about Bitcoin being broken. It is a quiet summer period. Markets are going to be thin, so you can expect some of these, let's say, maybe extreme moves in one direction or the other. It just happens to be down, as Bill was pointing out. That gold Bitcoin trade looking a little bit better out there right now. Is vol looking a little bit better? Well, plumbing new depths. You might be forgiven for expecting the answer to be yes, and you would be right. Coming in to start the show right now, we have 7-day vol in Bitcoin at about a 54, a little bit north of that, 54.15 actually, to be precise. On our last show 2 weeks ago, 50.6. So getting a little bit frothier, a little bit juicier out there. A couple of things playing into that. Of course, once you break big psychological levels like 60K and now 55,000 out there, you're going to see a little bit of vol start perking up out there. And also, we have had a pretty impressive range since our last show out there as well. So all of that's going to contribute to vol remaining a little bit juicier out there. Is that the same thing on the 30-day front? The answer is yes. We were at a 49 this time 2 weeks ago. Today, 50 2/3. So up slightly, up about a point and 2/3 over the last couple of weeks. And going all the way out to the 6-month crowd, the hodlers, they paid attention to me, Bill. They held on to their stuff because they were at a 61 2 weeks ago, 61 1/4 this week. Mr. Bill, anything catching your eye out there on the Bitcoin vol front since last we spoke, sir?
Nothing really in terms of implied volatility on the option side, but in terms of its historical volatility and its 10-week moving average, which is one of my favorite technical indicators. I mean, Bitcoin did get up to its high end of the range, 71 to 70, 2,500, near the upper bands of its 10-week moving average. Now it's a little bit below the mid-range, mid-range being 64,500. And if we break this 58.5 where we're kind of at now, we could potentially go to 51,000, maybe 49,000. So in terms of just a normal historical movement, in terms of its historical vol, I would say it's very normal. It's a little bit less than the middle of the bell curve. So I'm not worried yet, and would look for any other, decline to be what could potentially be a great buying opportunity.
All right, listeners, let's keep rolling out to the skew. Let's see how the skew is shaping up. Since we're plumbing new depths, you probably could expect a little bit of dark side. That's pretty much what we're seeing. On the weekly skew, we've gone from a negative 0.6, so pretty much flat, to a negative 5.6, so moving 5 points in the dark side direction. Again, we are hanging out at some lows, so makes a fair amount of sense. Going out 30 days, we were seeing the skew was also flat 2 weeks ago. It was about a negative 0.3. Coming in and start the show today, not perhaps as as bearish as you might expect, -2.25. So looking slightly less bearish, but still tilting towards the dark side as well. And going out 6 months, they don't care. They're shrugging it off. 4.5 2 weeks ago, positive 4.5 out there today. So the skew on the Bitcoin front, not perhaps as dire as you might expect, unless you hang out only in the weeklies, then in which case you're looking a little bit bearish, which again, understandable. You know what else is looking bearish, Mr. Bill, is your favorite holding of all time, which is BITO, down a whopping 3 handles since our last show, 19.75 when we commenced operations out there. The ADV looking fairly firm, back up to about 90,000 contracts a day. It's up 4,000 over the past couple of weeks. So when a lot of other products like VIX and the S&P are having their ADV come in over the holiday week, BITO's ticking up. In terms of action, let's see, we got about 63,000 contracts on the tape today. That was heading into the start of the show. Let's see if any more has trickled in. 67,000. So got less than an hour left in the session. Probably not going to hit that ADV today, but we shall see. A little bit of time left out there. In terms of vol, that's also ticking up as well, up to about a 55. It's up 6 points from where it was this time last week. In terms of size positions, it's still those Jan 30s and those Jan 35s, 122,000 of the 30s and 82,000 of the 35s dominating the list. We talked about those ad nauseum. I won't beat those to death, but an intriguing time out there in BITO, taking a little bit of a hiatus out there. In terms of what action is lighting it up out there today, the big dog, 4,300 of the 20 half calls expiring this week. So $0.75 out of the money calls. Those could be closing. Those, like some folks might be bailing on those. And 3,500 of the 22 calls expiring next week. Those are openings. Maybe we got some holders piling back in. 22 by next week. That'd be an intriguing move. We'll talk about that on the show next week. And then Bill's other favorite, when he's not out there slinging BITO. Man loves himself. Can't get enough. BitX was at 27.70 when we kicked off the show, down 5 1/3 points from where it was this time 2 weeks ago. Again, that's our levered product out there, listeners. So you're going to get 2x BITO. So BITO is not savage enough for you. BitX delivering 2x that move and living up to its name out here this week. In terms of volume, we got about 28,000 contracts on the tape today. That's pretty impressive given the fact that the ADV is only 15,000. And that's ticking up 1,000 since our last show. So something is lighting it up out there today. Let's take a look really quickly and see what folks are slinging out there today, listeners. Looks like it is 3,200 of the 30 calls expiring this week. Again, we're at about 27.5 now. We've continued to dip down since the show started. So that's $2.50 out of the money opening today, followed by 2,600 of the 32 calls also expiring this week. Could be some vertical action, I suppose. And then 29 puts going up 2,300 times as well. Again, all of that expiring this week. So some very near dated action in BitX, which again, that's probably the way you have to trade this product. It's not a long-term buy and hold, certainly, unless you're really excited about 500 of the Jan 2026 85 calls. Yes, 85. They went up today. We're at a 27.5. They traded $7.83. So yeah, somebody bought those, listeners, for nearly $8. Jan 85s expiring in 2026. BitX. I don't know, I've seen some weird stuff, but that certainly could take. Actually, looks like it might be a 60.85 vertical. So does that make it a little bit better? Looks like they paid about $1.60 for that. I don't know if I like it that much better, but yeah. Weird stuff abounds out here in BitX. Mr. Bill, I know you've never been a huge fan of BITO, but maybe you're starting to warm up to it. And if that doesn't float your boat, how about 2x BitX? Is that where your action is, sir?
Well, we have our hands full just on the single beta products like BITO and GBTC. But let me just say, looking at the BITO chart, the ProShares Bitcoin strategy, ETF strategy, I have to say that going back to over almost a year ago, from like August, September of 2023, we are right at a bullish trend line in BITO. So I think looking to sell some put spreads here probably wouldn't be such a bad thing. BITO has, traveled from, say, 29.5 now down to 19.25. Probably time to I'm catch a falling knife here a little bit by selling some, at the money put spreads. I think that might be an interesting trade to look at. And it just looks like an interesting trade, just like BITX and Mara. I mean, it looks like you could probably establish a little bit of long.
I have to admit, I was thinking the same thing when I saw BITO back into the teens. I was like, that's maybe not the worst thing to get a little bit of short put action in here. So you and I are of the same mind out here, Mr. Bill. I haven't put anything on yet, but it is something I have been mulling of late. As we keep on rolling out to Mr. Bill's other favorite, of course, I'm talking about Mara 1960, bucking the trend up a full $1 since our last show. About exactly $1, actually. In terms of ADV, also ticking up there as well. The ADV is up to 282,000 contracts a day. It's up 11,000 since our last show. Today, 233 on the tape, so not sure if we're going to threaten that today. But again, still got a little bit of time left in the session. In terms of big dogs out there in Mara right now, we got about 24,000 of the 21 calls expiring. Again, it's all near-dated stuff. Expiring this week, we're at about 19 and a half right now. We've ticked down a little bit. So, 19 and a half, 21 calls. You like those, listeners? Again, those are opening and it passes prologue. Folks probably buying those. You also got the 20 calls expiring this week, going up about 21,000 times. And about 16,000 of the AUG 30s. These are expiring on the 2nd, so also in the weeklies. 3 O's. You got a ways to go to make those. Let's see, those went up for 19 cents. Looks like paper bought those, listeners. Ooh. Man. 30 by August 2nd. An intriguing trade, to say the least. In terms of vol, the Mara vol is still pretty frothy at about a 90 right now, up 4 points. And in terms of the size positions out there, we got about exactly 30,000 of the SEP 30s, 3Os. Remember, 30's been an intriguing strike, notwithstanding those kind of ridiculous August 30s. But 30, I've been saying for a while, Mara seems to be in this range of about 15 to the dark side and about 30, or threatening 30 to the upside. Clearly, other folks have identified that as well because they're piling into a whole bunch of 30s out here in Mara, as it's time for us to pile into a whole bunch of the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, time to explore the altcoin universe. Let's see what's moving and shaking. It's been a lot of churn and burn in the bottom half of our top 10 out here. So let's see if we have that going on again this week. Number 10, we got our old friend Cardano, listeners, coming in at 13 billion worth of market cap, pretty much exactly. So carving out the number 10 spot. Number 9, our old pal Doge, clinging to number 9, 15.5 billion worth of market cap. Number 8 is Toncoin. It's just a slugfest between Cardano and Doge and Toncoin, seems like every week. This week, Ton coming in number 8, 18 billion. Exactly. So managing to outpace Doge by about 2.5 billion worth of market cap. Number 7 is XRP, a little bit shy of 24, about 23.8 billion. Number 6, it's USD Coin, 33.8 billion. Number 5, it's Solana, 63.5 billion. Number 4, BNB, 74.5 billion. Number 3, it's Tether, 112, pretty much exactly. Number 2, it's ETH, coming in a wee bit, 358 on the tape. And the number 1 size position in Bitcoin, a little bit smaller this week as well. 1.1 trillion, still north of the T level, but 1.1 trillion for good old BTC. And if you haven't figured it out by now, ETH a little bit lower this week than it was a couple of weeks ago. In fact, it looks like we just managed to tick up. The low came on Sunday of 29.29, right before showtime. And right as we kicked off the show, we ticked to exactly 3,000 even, listeners. So we're teetering on the edge of the knife right now. Which way will we go? North or south? I guess we'll find out. The high was about 34.48. That came back on June 27th, so a little while ago. So that's almost 500 handles to the upside. So been quite the range on the week out here, listeners. Mr. Bill, I also left explicit instructions to keep ETH north of 3,000. Looks like you finally figured it out right as we started the show, sir. What's been catching your eye out there in ETH this week?
I seem to have failed in my sacred duty to keep cryptocurrency above the levels that you want.
You had one job, Mr. Bill, and you let it go.
And you couldn't even do that. Well, listen, once again, let's get back to the historical volatility, right? These ebbs and flows, these Bollinger Band-esque type of moves. And, Ethereum was trading near the high end of its range, around 4,001, 4,003, maybe back in March. We had the, a lot of, again, FOMO and crypto in general. And it's just pulled back a little bit lower than the middle of its range at 2930, 2950. And again, I could see us trading down to 2580, again, being around its bullish trend line. So I don't think that this is a baby out with the bathwater thing. Like this is another attack on cryptocurrency. It just seems to be more like a return to the middle of the bell curve, just a return to the mean. And I'm going to play it that way for the time being.
Let's see how things are playing out from a vol and a skew perspective. And ETH, shall we, listeners? Coming into the start of the show, things are maybe the fact that I think we're hanging out this 3,000 level. That's going to gum up the works a little bit. The fact that we have just rallied back north to it means our 7-day vol is looking a little bit frothier right now, 66.5. That's up 5.5 points from what it was this time 2 weeks ago. A 30-day vol also looking a little bit frothier. Again, we're dipping into some rarefied range. Traditionally, there isn't much of a bid to the downside in ETH and Bitcoin. The bid is usually to the upside from a vol perspective. But as we start selling off, as we start breaking through these psychologically important levels like 60,000 in Bitcoin or indeed 3,000 in ETH, you start to see a little bit of that vol start to sneak in there. Nothing is immune at the end of the day, listeners. 30-day vol, 61.4 in ETH. 2 weeks ago, 64.25 right now. It's looking a little bit frothier. I think if we were back below 3,000, maybe substantially so, we see that number even higher. And 180-day vol, they're not sweating it. 72 on the show 2 weeks ago, 69.4. So actually coming in, the hodlers not sweating it at all. Let's go a little bit farther out to the skew. Probably expect that to have swung to the dark side, and that is indeed the case. 7 days, so the weekly skew was a positive 3.2 on the show 2 weeks ago. This week, -3. So maybe not as dire as you would expect. Again, probably some of that having to do with the fact that we just rallied back to 3,000 even. In terms of the monthly skew, positive 5.2 on the show 2 weeks ago. This week, positive 1. So still managing to stay in positive territory. Again, that little rally we just saw coming into showtime, probably accounting for a lot of that. Otherwise, you probably would be in the negative. And going out 6 months, positive 7.4 2 weeks ago. This week, positive 6. Mr. Bill, anything catching your eye on the ETH vol or skew front this week, sir?
Once again, Mark, I think we're just kind of heading back to the middle of the bell curve, making a perfectly normal swing, pendulum-like swing to the, in the standard distribution. No, nothing really in the world of options or volatility, other than I'm just incredibly surprised actually that the upside didn't follow through when we had the halving, and there was so much positive news in crypto. It seemed as though interest rates in the market were potentially going to start easing, which generally is thought that would fuel the upside of all risk-on assets. And, we're not really getting that. So I have a lot of surprises since you've been gone, since you got back from vacation. That is the level of the VIX and some of these cryptocurrency prices.
Let's keep going with those cryptocurrency prices, shall we? Let's go out to Solana. It looks like Solana has managed to rally a little bit of late as well. So Solana managing to carve back some of the gains that it gave up not too long ago out there, because it was at 127.90 on the show 2 weeks ago. Today, 136.82, so gaining nearly 9 handles over the last couple of weeks. 892. Solana, it's been up, it's been down, it's been a yo-yo ride to say the least out there, and an intriguing one again this week. Unfortunately, not that intriguing for the XRP holders. 47 cents on the show 2 weeks ago, 42.8. So giving up a little over 4 cents on the last couple of weeks. Again, XRP, just painful to watch, I feel, for all of you out there. Dogecoin, 11.6 cents 2 weeks ago, 10.7 cents this week. Litecoin, 69, pretty much even, 64.5 this week, so down about $4.50. Let's run through a few others, and we'll get some of Bill's altcoin universe picks for this week. 36.7 cents 2 weeks ago for Cardano, 36.4 cents, so not a huge move. Polkadot, 561 2 weeks ago, $6 even right now, up about 39 cents. And everybody's favorite, I know Bill's favorite, Shiba Inu. A million zeros, 1654 2 weeks ago this week, a whopping 1634. So kind of treading water out there. No Shiba Lambos on the docket this week. But what is on the docket, we need a little drop for this. It's Bill's altcoin of the week. Mr. Bill, what are you keeping an eye on out there this week, sir?
Mark, one of the things I love most about when you have me on the show is that I feel I have the freedom to explore any kind of idea, crazy as it might seem at the time. So I have two ideas. One is this: if you again look at were to put a couple of hundred cryptocurrency tokens into a standard bell curve, like this pendulum that swings back and forth, we are very, very oversold. I mean, all my cryptocurrency is so far skewed to the left in terms of weekly oversoldness. We're like at a 75% oversold. It doesn't get much lower than that. So when I think of potential altcoins, the answer is all of them. All of them are just so oversold. And I can't believe that, even though Bitcoin and Ethereum and a few of the other ones are kind of middling in their bell curve and their technical, against their 10-week moving average, everything else is just getting smoked. It's so far to the left. So I'm bullish right now, again, as a contrarian trader, as someone who likes to trade, someone who likes to look at this stuff, all of them, Mark. And then the second idea is this. When we were talking about BITO previously in the show, we were talking about how it was bumping up against its bullish trend line. Take a look at Coinbase. Once again, here's a great, we love to trade. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Take a look at Coinbase. Here's an opportunity of, the stock was trading at a high of maybe 280, 284. It's pulled back now down to the, low 200 area. And we have our bullish trend line at 198 to 200. Take a look at the 200 put, like going out in September. Like, that looks like something that could be sold. And again, when you buy Coinbase, you are owning like 15 different kind of businesses, and one of them is just this. It's almost like a venture capital pool of crypto, and it's everything crypto, right? And so to look at the SEP 2200 put, it's trading around $15.65. I think. When I get off the call with you, I think I'm going to sell one or two of those options for some of our clients that like, this space, and they want that they're more risk-on personalities. So I'm going to say there isn't a crypto out there that I don't think is oversold on a weekly basis. And I think a Coinbase downside put, maybe selling the 200s or the 198s might be something to take a look at between now and the September 20th expiration.
Interesting. A little bit of Coinbase put writing out there as well. You're right. The stock has fared well. It's off from its highs, off about $3 today, a little over 1%, listeners. Of course, year to date, it still is up about $63, $64, about 40%. You go all the way back to its lows of last year. It was around Halloween. It was about $70. So 220 is where it is right now, but still way off the highs of about 283. That is set back in March. So yeah, intriguing times out there in Coinbase. Are you intrigued by these listeners? Are you going to write some puts maybe in BITO, maybe in Coinbase? Maybe you're up to something else. Maybe hit us up, let us know. I'm very intrigued by what you folks are up to out there. Unfortunately, we're not up to any more show. That music means we are done. But before we head out of here, Mr. Bill, sir, if folks want to reach out to you, maybe they want to discuss some of these ideas in a little bit more depth, maybe some of these put rights, or maybe some of your other holding, maybe your Bitcoin versus gold strategy or anything else, where should they go? What should they do?
Sure. Just hit us up at cenaclecapital.com, which is our website. That's CENACLE capital.com. Or they can give us a call on our office line at 847-686-4800. And yeah, our Bitcoin versus gold strategy is been performing really interesting. And again, we have to stick with our wingman, and sometimes we sold Bitcoin into that rally, which was the hardest thing I think I've ever done. And right now we're pretty happy with the results. But again, past performance is no indication or guarantee of future returns. But yeah, give us a call. Let's have a conversation and get me one of these old legacy IRAs or 401ks sitting around, doing nothing, back to work again in some kind of pairs trade.
I knew it. I knew you broke Bitcoin. See, you sold into that rally. I knew it was you, Mr. Bill.
I was just fading the rally. I didn't sell. Well, I guess I did sell into it.
If you want to give them a hard time, reach out to them at Cenacle Capital Management, or give them a follow on Twitter, listeners, at Cenacle Capital, Cenacle, all one word, on Twitter. And of course, you want to kick the tires and light the fires on some awesome crypto analytics. Only one place to go, amberdata.io, AMBERDATA.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. We really just have time to scratch the surface on the show each week. They have quite a few more offerings on the analytics front. I see they're adding quite a few more as we speak, getting more in depth on Solana and a few others out there as well. So if you want to start kicking the tires and lighting the fires, is Matic up your crypto wallet these days? Maybe a little XRP even out there. I know Greg was going on about XRP. It seems crazy to have an options market on a sub 50 cent underlying, but I know it exists out there. Folks are into it. So if you're into those kind of things, or of course the old BTC, ETH, and Sol, then by all means, amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. That's going to do it for us on the network today. Back again with our usual array of content throughout the rest of the week. That includes Options Bootcamp every Wednesday. This Week in Futures Options, which I think a lot of listeners of this show will like, on Thursdays. The Option Block as well. Friday, Volatility Views. Also an intriguing one for a lot of listeners of this show if you're on the little bit more sophisticated side of the derivative spectrum. And then, of course, we're back again next Monday, another episode of the Crypto Rundown. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.